Mm. Hello friends, how are we doing today? So I am in a graveyard today hanging out with my friend George McClellan, and I thought I would read to you from Grimm's fairy tales here in the graveyard. I hope that's okay. Alright, so today's story is called The Giant and the Tailor. A tailor who was a great braggart, but who seldom lived up to his boasts, decided to do a little wandering and look around the forest. As soon as he could, he left his workshop and wandered one day across the bridge and way, hither and thither, farther and farther. When he was finally out in the woods, he spied a steep mountain in the blue distance, and behind it was a tower that rose amidst a wild, dark forest high into the sky. "My God!" exclaimed the tailor. "What's that?" And since his curiosity had got the better of him, he went straight toward it without thinking. As he came closer, his mouth and eyes popped wide open, for the tower had legs and jumped over the steep mountain in one leap. Now it stood before the tailor in the form of an enormously powerful giant.
"What do you want here, you tiny fly speck?"
roared the giant with a voice that sounded like thunder coming from all sides. The tailor whispered in reply, I just wanted to look around to see if I could earn a living in the forest."
"If that's all you want," the giant said, "you can work for me as my servant."
"If that's the way it must be, why not?" said the tailor. "But what shall my wages be?"
"Your wages,"
said the giant.
"I'll tell you. You shall have 365 days a year, and an extra day added on when it's a leap year. Is that all right with you?"
"It will do," the tailor answered, and thought to himself, "I've got to make the best of a bad situation. I'll try to get out of this as soon as I can." Then the giant said to him,
"Go, little twerp, and fetch me a jug of water."
"Wouldn't it be better if I brought you the entire spring right away along with the entire well?" asked the boaster, and he carried the jug to the water.
"What? The entire spring along with the well?"
the giant growled into his beard. He was somewhat stupid and foolish, and began to show signs of fear.
"This fellow has some tricks up his sleeve. He has a mandrake in his body. Be on your guard, old Hans. He's not meant to be a servant for you."
When the tailor had brought him the water, the giant ordered him to go into the forest and chop some logs and bring them home. "Wouldn't it be better to chop down the entire forest with one stroke? The entire forest, with young and old, with all that in it has, gnarled and smooth?" the little tailor asked, and he went to chop the wood.
"What? The entire forest with young and old, with all that it has gnarled and smooth? And the entire spring along with the well?"
The gullible giant growled into his beard and became even more afraid.
"This fellow has tricks up his sleeves. He has a mandrake in his body. Be on your guard, old Hans. He's not meant to be a servant for you."
When the tailor had brought the wood, the giant ordered him to shoot 2 or 3 wild boars for supper. "Wouldn't it be better to shoot 1,000 with one shot instead and bring them all here?" asked the feisty tailor.
"What?"
exclaimed the cowardly giant, and he became horror-stricken.
"That's enough for today. Go to sleep."
The giant was so terribly afraid he could not catch a wink of sleep the entire night. He threw ideas back and forth, for he wanted to get rid of this cursed sorcerer of a servant. The sooner the better. In time, he came upon an idea. The next day, the giant and the tailor went to a swamp surrounded by a group of willow trees. Then the giant said,
"Listen to me, tailor. I want you to sit down on one of the willow branches, because I want to see whether you can bend it down."
The little tailor quickly went and sat down. He held his breath and made himself heavy, so heavy that the branch bent down to the ground. However, since he had to gather his breath again by exhaling, the branch snapped back and sent him soaring into the air. Unfortunately, he had forgotten to put an ironing rod in his pocket, so that he soon disappeared from sight, and the giant rejoiced. If the tailor has not descended to the ground by now, he is probably still floating around in the air. The end. That was a fun story. I like that one. Oh. Alright, friends. Well, let me know what you think of the story. Let me know what you think about having story time in the graveyard. And for now, it is time for your next adventure. I'll miss you. Cheers.